Hey, Ken. This is another episode of Film Seizure. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm pretty good. I guess it's just going to be you and me for this episode. Jeff has been a no-show.
That's odd.
It's pretty weird. I mean, we've done over 100 episodes, and he just decided not to show up for this episode. So, fuck him.
And he's just like, it's Ken's fifth time. You guys can run with it.
Yeah, whatever. So we're going to talk about The Sting.
Yes.
Awesome movie.
Yes.
Super awesome movie. We teased it last week. And yeah, we're just going to do it without Jeff. So.
All right. Well, this will be fun.
Sorry I'm late, guys. I was taking a crap. So what did I miss?
Nothing.
Oh.
We were going to start without you.
Oh.
You didn't flush. I didn't hear a flush.
That's fine. It's fine.
Water conservation.
Well, yeah. It's fine.
Yeah. So
what are we here to talk about?
The Sting.
The Sting, yes. Doop 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 doop.
Is that the right?
That's part of it. No, it's part of it.
All right.
It is the middle part of the entertainer.
It's a different tempo.
Boy, yeah, you hear that a lot.
The entertainer.
The entertainer, yes. Did we play it on the intro?
You better believe it.
Yep, figured as much. It's kind of what, yeah.
I just finished putting together the intro and outro while I was on the crapper.
Oh my goodness.
We'll get to
So
that.
glad to be back.
Yeah, isn't it great to be here?
It is.
Hi, I'm Jeff Arbuckle.
Hey, Jeff.
Hey.
Glad to have you.
Yay, thanks.
Really glad you make it.
Yeah, I wouldn't miss this for the world. 100 episodes, 100. This is what 404.
Something like that. Yeah, I think that's right.
I wouldn't miss this for the world, guys. I'm glad you guys are here.
Well, good.
Because otherwise, it's just me talking to no one, and that's just awkward.
That's just a normal Tuesday, though, right?
Right, pretty much. It's a normal the moment you guys leave. Anyway.
Oh, so sad.
Well, I talk to the cats. They just don't respond.
So, we have The Sting.
Yeah, George Roy Hill.
Yes, George. Yeah, he had a pretty interesting career, right?
Yes.
Worked a lot with Paul Newman.
Yep.
Obviously did this with Paul Newman and Robert Redford. Also did Sundance, Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid.
Sundance
Kid. The Sundance Kid. Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. Yep.
Yeah, and his final movie.
Yeah, that's a weird one.
Yeah, Funny Farm.
Uh-huh.
The Chevy Chase comedy. Yeah, which is not a particularly great movie, although I think we all probably like it.
I grew up with that
because
movie,
we grew up with
Yep.
it. Mm-hmm. And it was, relatively, I think it was PG-13 or something.
Yeah, what was the eating contest? It was the lamb.
Oh, lamb fries.
Lamb fries, yeah.
You cut them way up high.
Yeah. That's a fun movie.
There's I think it's goat testicle joke in another Cinema Snob movie also, where he's eating them. It's pretty great.
I think that Funny Farm wasn't the first movie to do that. I feel like there was
I'm sure there was another
that
one
had a eating contest, or it's like, what? These are delicious. What are they? Oh, they're bull's testicles or something. Yeah,
something like that. Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, that was his last movie.
But he lived for he may still be alive.
Really?
No, he just lived long. He just retired after Funny Farm. He's like, man, take me off to the Funny Farm.
Said everything I need.
Well, honestly, he probably worked with Chevy Chase, so it was like done.
I'm out.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's like this.
I'm an Academy Award-winning director.
This man
Fuck
broke me. Yeah. So again, Sting is another movie that is sort of a time out of place movie. Was made in 1973.
Yes.
But it takes place decades earlier, in
1936.
Exactly, yeah.
That's an interesting time period too, right? Because think about what's in this movie. You've got grifting in Chicago with Irish mob boss involved, with FBI seemingly crawling through town because of Al Capone.
Right.
The what's the word I'm looking for? The booze thing.
Oh, Prohibition's over.
Okay.
Yeah, Prohibition is over.
Prohibition is not over today.
Nope.
Because I forgot that word. Prohibition. So Prohibition has just been just a few years now past, gone past as in gone.
Yes, I got you. We were following.
No, I just didn't want people to think I was talking about like it was Prohibition. It was over.
Right. And it's also the waning years of the Great Depression.
Yes.
Yeah.
Things are about to get interesting overseas.
Yep.
But there's Charles Durning at one point is playing a cop from Joliet, where the Robert Redford character is from, and he goes into Eileen Brennan's place where Paul Newman lives, and he doesn't seem to have any issue with the obvious prostitution. So was that legal back then?
I don't believe so.
Or was it just not busted?
I think.
Or is he just so centered on trying to get hooker?
Oh, he's trying to get hookers.
Well, that he's overlooking the hookers. Yeah.
I don't. I think probably a lot of corrupt cops. I mean, he was a corrupt cop.
But that's true because he wanted the payoff.
Yeah, everybody was kind of on the take.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although, really,
a lot of that's a holdover from Prohibition too, because cops drank. Cops are the best drinkers.
Sometimes.
Definitely in the 20s and 30s they were. So they were drinking, but so they were, everyone was kind of overlooking vice.
Yeah.
In those days. Yeah.
Well, and also it's kind of one of those things where it's like, as she said, you can go back through all the rooms that you want, but probably don't want to.
Well, the chief of police is in one of them.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Which illustrates that point.
Right. Which, I mean, honestly, he's probably a paying customer anyway. He probably gets a discount.
Yes.
But
he most certainly gets a discount.
But, he's still going there and buying the goods.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean.
Yes, he is a customer.
But this movie comes to us from Mr. Shuttleworth.
Yes.
Yeah. Me.
You bring this movie to us, but you know what? I think we've all three seen this at some. You had seen it a long time ago, Jason.
It had been a while, but yes,
it's been a little while.
I was very familiar with this movie. All the beats came back.
Yeah,
it's one of those where I saw enough as a kid that I was like, yeah, okay, I know where this is going. I was pretty sure about the final twist, but I wasn't quite sure.
Yeah.
But once it kind of all unfolded, I was like, oh yeah.
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 But I think you had kind of described last week, Ken, that you were, after your first time coming on here, you were kind of thinking about other movies that you kind of grew up with that you watched a lot or that fit the motif of what you brought with us.
Yeah, I think, it kind of started, after Flim Flam, you mentioned Big Hand for the Little Lady, and that spawned, you knew I'd been a fan of The Sting for a long time.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I thought those two movies would go well together. And they do, in a lot of ways. They're both grifter movies, basically. They're both sort of made decades after they take place. You've got big supporting actors, right? I mean, the casts are phenomenal in both. For some reason I remembered. There's the big poker scene in The Sting, right? Which is a big grift. Which we talked a little bit about how the grift in Big Hand for a Little Lady could take place as one grift in a bigger movie. Well, it's almost exactly like what happens in The Sting, right?
Yeah, and this is a movie where, by the way, we're gonna have to talk about.
Oh yeah,
spoilers.
Most
but
definitely.
If you have never seen The Sting, see it.
Yeah. This is a classic.
Or if you haven't seen it in a while but you liked it, see it again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, this was the Academy Award winner for 1973. This is. Yeah, it's pretty damn good.
Yep.
It's a pretty good movie. It's very, very well written. Mm-hmm. It is a very fun movie. And so if you haven't seen it, see it And because we're going to have to talk about spoilers. There's no way you can talk about The Sting without talking about spoilers, because otherwise it would just be an hour of us saying, so then they do the one thing, and the one thing I'm talking about, because it leads to this other thing, you know what I'm talking about.
Which was great.
Yeah.
Can't tell you what it was, but it was great.
See you next week, Force February, or whatever. Yeah, it's, it's one of those things that you kind of, you can't really talk about this movie with any great detail or with any great length without saying there's some business in this, but or spoilery business, I should say. So anyway, I do have a couple of notes here.
I have some as well.
And I brought up the Academy Awards because actually the two of the notes, my two big notes. This is the only time Robert Redford was ever nominated for an acting.
Huh.
And of course, he won for directing.
Yes.
He has been a winning producer too, I think. But he's only ever once been nominated for an acting Oscar. That was for The Sting.
That's surprising.
Yeah, and he was the only person nominated for the acting. So you would have thought Paul Newman would have been, or that you would have thought that, maybe Robert Shaw. Nope. It was only Robert Redford.
Wow.
Which is funny because this is such an ensemble movie that it's even, I find it even hard to fully buy into the fact that he's the lead in this movie, because it is such a...
I buy it though, because the whole movie runs through him.
True. I mean, I think what it is that there's such strong personalities from like from Paul Newman and from Robert Shaw that it's hard to see him rise above necessarily all of those people.
Yeah.
The other thing is that Julia Phillips was one of the producers on the movie, and she was the first ever lady producer to win an Oscar for Best Picture. And she shared it with like 3 other people, but still, it was kind of a first there. First in a couple of ways.
Man, I was just looking at who Robert Redford was up against that year for Best Actor, and it is a stacked freaking field. So you had
Jack Nicholson.
Yeah, Jack Nicholson for Last Detail.
Last Detail's good.
You had Al Pacino for Serpico.
Yeah.
You had Marlon Brando for Last Tango in Paris.
He's the winner.
And then he was
no,
not.
oh no, he wasn't. It was for Godfather the year before.
And then you had Rob Redford, obviously, from The Sting. The winner was Jack Lemmon in Save the Tiger.
Okay, yeah.
So he's kind of the dark horse in that field, I would think.
Probably.
Or Robert Redford was probably even a bigger dark horse, I would guess. But
it was probably one of those things
and
where
Pacino was into that's early Pacino as well, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, that was part of Pacino being nominated but not winning for a long, long time.
That's fascinating.
Which is interesting because I think Jack Lemmon already had an Oscar at that point.
Oh, do you think?
For him to get a second.
That's probably true.
It's possible that some of those guys split a lot of the voting.
So yeah, I guess it is later in Jack Lemmon's career. Because I
think he won for The Apartment.
He would have been almost 50 when he won that. He had already done The Odd Couple by then, and also something like Hot.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jack Lemmon's pretty iconic by then.
But I think he won for The Apartment before.
It could be.
But I'm thinking that there were such strong sometimes this happens where there's such
strong... He won
strong...
Best Supporting Actor in 1955 for Mr. Roberts.
Yeah, okay. So I think that might be a situation where there's such a strong category.
Yeah.
That like some of those guys that's when something of a dark horse can win. Because, it's like...
And then, looking at the Best Picture category was pretty steep, too, that year.
The Exorcist.
You had The Exorcist, yeah. Touch of Class, Cries and Whispers. So you had Ingmar Bergman filling them in there. Woo! And then American Graffiti.
Yeah.
And The Sting beat him out. And then again, George Roy Hill beat out George Lucas, Ingmar Bergman, William Friedkin, and Bernardo Bertolucci for Last Tango in Paris. So he beat out some ridiculous directors.
Yeah.
Yeah. Huh.
Yeah.
Well, fascinating.
Yeah. So I mean, that's a contentious year. I mean,
That's a good year.
Yeah. It's interesting because now the nominations for 2019 are out. We were recording this before that. I have a feeling.
Are they out?
Well, they will be by the time this episode comes out.
Yes, of course they will.
Yeah, we're always living in a weird time
it is a
bubble.
weird
But I have a
bubble.
feeling 2019 is going to be kind of contentious too.
I have a feeling it will be. I don't know that the field is this strong as the 1973 field, but we'll see.
Yeah.
There's some good movies, but those are some pretty powerhouses.
Well, I'm just thinking about some of the acting categories where I don't think Eddie Murphy's going to get there.
As a nominee, you don't think he'll get the nomination?
I don't think he will.
We'll see.
Yeah, because Netflix is stacked the deck
Yeah.
for 2019.
But then let's talk a little bit about the rest of this cast. You had in supporting roles, supporting in air quotes again here, really. I mean, Paul Newman, who is amazing,
one of the biggest stars in the world.
Ever. He worked with George Roy Hill, of course, on Sundance. He worked with him on Slapshot.
Yes,
Yeah.
Slapshot is. Oh my God, I love that movie. Have you seen? You've
I
seen?
have not seen.
Oh my God,
That's a
we're
movie you
bringing
need to see.
we're bringing Ken back for Slapshot.
It is the one and only truly hockey movie that you need.
But it is also one of the funniest comedies.
It's
ever,
so funny.
ever. I mean, it's such a good working class blue collar comedy.
Yeah.
It's great.
I have heard of it. I don't know why I've never seen
And the
it.
McKinsey brothers.
No,
Not the McKinsey brothers. The
it's
I see. Sometimes I get
You're
McKinsey
thinking
brothers
of-
from Strange Brew.
right.
Yeah.
We'll think of it.
That'd be a good double feature though. Strange Brew and something.
Yeah,
I have seen Strange Brew. That makes
yeah.
sense.
Strange Brew's great. Yeah, I love that movie. Yeah, but then you've got Robert Shaw,
Robert Shaw.
who is just an insane person.
Yeah.
Just everything he's ever in, he is so threatening.
I bet he was an intense person in life too. I just feel
He
like,
only had a few more years left in his life at this point, too.
man, you feel like
He
a
burned out
hard
quick.
drinking, like take no nonsense, probably
British
like,
man.
like suffering just
Yeah.
quietly with rage. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I would, if I could go back in time and I meet Robert Shaw, never once would I try to like joke with him.
No.
Not at his expense, at
No.
least. Like maybe it's somebody at your expense, Jason. Not at his.
Look at that guy, Robert
guy.
Shaw. Look at that guy.
Yeah.
Who does he think he is?
Buy me a Guinness, please.
I'll look at your scars.
Yeah. No, he is terrifying always.
Yes. Then you had the great Charles Durning.
And he's an insane person in this too.
He really is. He's great. Charles Durning, though, you get a sense was a sweetheart.
Oh yeah.
He was.
he
was in some great flicks, man.
the
He-
Muppet movie.
He worked
I love that
with the
movie.
Coen Brothers several times. Dog Day Afternoon, he was in that. Just
He in that TV show, was it Designing Women or something?
Oh, I think he was.
he? I think you're right.
I think he was. No, I think he was. Yeah, I think he was.
For all the younger listeners.
Is that
who know
Tootsie
what
on
that
there
show
also?
is.
Tootsie. He was in Tootsie.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
It would be interesting to watch Tootsie with current
Today's
day
climate.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was one of those movies, though, even like 30 years ago when I saw it, I was like, what's the big deal?
Yeah.
You know? I don't know. That one never really hit for me.
So then you also have Hanson Brothers, where
Thank you. Thank you. The Hanson brothers. Yes.
My brain just turned back
the
on.
goofy guys with the glasses and the long
Slapshot.
hair and Slapshot. Yeah. The Hanson brothers.
Yeah.
They came back for Slapshot too.
I didn't watch that.
I didn't see that one either.
No, there was like 3 or 4 of those Slapshot movies. And it's like,
Did they really make
yeah.
that many? Oh my goodness.
It's something stupid like that.
Oh, my goodness.
And they became like family movies too. And it's like, no, these aren't family movies.
That's not good.
Yeah.
Ray Ralston,
Yeah. Mr. Hand.
Mr. Hand from Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
One of my all-time favorite movies.
And
He
then-
has there's a small moment with him. The whole time, every time you see him, he's always talking very pointed and very fast. In this, like, even when they're like trying to figure out what their plan is, and it's like, well, we're gonna have to do this and we have to do that, and blah, blah, and he's like very like very rigidly, he's got it all figured out. And then he's the guy who has to read the wire for the race so that they could do the fraud, and he is reading it so fast and so perfectly. And then, like, when Robert Shaw leaves after the first time, Eileen Brennan goes into the room to tell him he's stopped, and he's just like breathing a sigh of relief. It's like, oh, thank God. It's like the most human moment of the whole movie.
And then, of course, you just mentioned the great Eileen Brennan. She was in just tons of, like,
a lot of Peter Bogdanovich movies.
Yes, just great in Last Picture Show.
She was also in the Long Last Love.
Mm-hmm. Yep. She probably maybe best known today
for our generation.
For our generation, for being Miss Peacock.
Yeah.
In Clue.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
Yes, I have seen Clue.
And she's great.
Well, that's one that Mr. Chuck Moore is clamoring to.
Oh yeah. Oh, that movie's wonderful. It's just wonderful. Truly, and she's great in that.
She's always the person that you like. As I mentioned, it's like at one point she's taken the empty bottles of Schlitz out of Newman's room, and they're like going back to the bar to go get more, and it's like, why is she serving the Schlitz? She should be having the Schlitz.
Right.
Like, one look at her and it's like, she is a drinking dame.
And then Robert Earl Jones.
Yes.
Darth Vader's dad.
He's probably the most important character to get the movie started.
Yeah. He's the impetus.
Yeah.
Absolutely. He's the really the driving motivation.
He is teaching Robert Redford the ropes of Grifton.
Yeah, the street con.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they hit big. They don't realize they hit a mob runner, one of Robert Shaw's guys, but he decides he's going to quit. Well, then he gets popped. Like he gets thrown out a window.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're trying to track him and Robert Redford down. They don't think to track down the kid, right? Is that
the third guy? Yeah,
third guy. But they get to Robert Earl Jones. And his name in it, Virgil. Is that Virgil? No,
Walter.
Was
it Walter?
I think he is
Luther.
Thank you.
Luther. He is like a father figure to Robert Redford. He's in good with his family.
Absolutely.
He looks up to him. He's actually kind of at first upset that he's leaving the grift because Robert Redford is addicted to it. Like, he doesn't even take any payoff at the end of the movie, like the gigantic payoff he could have.
Yeah.
He just wants to go on to his next grift.
He's in it for the thrill.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it's so much so that when he gets this big payday from this stuff going on at the beginning of the movie, he takes his burlesque dancing girlfriend out to an underground casino and blows $3,000 on a bad bet.
One roulette bet. Yeah.
And then he's kind of like, whatever. It's like...
He kind of got shafted on that one, too.
Well, yes, he did.
Well, he was going to get shafted regardless.
True.
Yeah.
In a place like that.
If he won, he was going to get robbed. And if he lost, which the house cheated to beat him, it's probably the better thing for him.
Yeah. And it's run by the mob also. So it's all
and I like
shady.
the dressing down that who was it that gave him the sort of the better than that. You're a smart guy, you're a smart grifter. What are you doing acting like a mark?
Yeah.
Walking into a casino, dropping $3,000 on a bet
with a hot pocket,
right? Like, what are you thinking? Yeah.
No, but it really kind of shows that Robert Redford is meant to be kind of young. I think in this,
he's reckless.
He's impatient. He's impulsive, and he doesn't really want to be. He wants to learn how to do the grift, but he doesn't want to be told how to do things intelligently.
Yeah. But he's also not sort of belligerent about it either. Like, he takes criticism well enough, and he goes along with the con because he trusts, I think, Paul Newman's expertise.
Not at first, though.
Not quite at first, yeah. But Paul Newman is Henry Shaw Gondorf. Shaw is his grift name.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I agree.
Which is just so, like, the whole time when they're in the same room with Robert Shaw, it's like, oh, this is confusing.
Yeah, yes. So the movie is set up in chapters, and I wrote them down as they came up. It's really kind of cool. They set up each segment of the movie. You have the introduction, but then you have 6 distinct chapters, starting with the setup on through the sting. And they're really kind of like the crucial pieces that make the overall sting work.
Yes.
Right? Every chapter is sort of one part of the puzzle for them to be able to pull this thing off. And it kind of reminds me a little bit of a magic trick, right? They're talking about another movie. I love The Prestige. You know, the 3 parts of a magic trick. You have the pledge, the turn, and the prestige, right? So this movie is kind of like that as well. It's broken up into the setup, the hook, the tail, the wire, the shutout, and the sting. And the sting is obviously when everything comes to fruition.
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 We're leaving that in.
But I think I am in agreement with Ken when Ken mentioned that his favorite part of the movie is the card game on the train, which is part of the hook.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about this, Ken. Like, how does this? What's the plan here to get Robert Shaw or Doyle Lonigan, villain, if you will, on the hook?
Oh, even though that train scene is not like really long, there's a lot that's going on.
Yes.
Time.
And there's a lot of time cuts too in that scene.
So basically, excuse me, Paul Newman and Robert Redford get on this train where Doyle Lonigan is going to be playing a high-stakes card game like he does every time he comes from New York to Chicago. Paul Newman arranges to get into the actual game to sit in on it. What was her name?
Eileen Brennan?
Billy.
Yeah.
So she bumps into Lonigan and steals his wallet and gives it to Paul Newman, who
then takes it back to their room.
Takes it back to their room where Robert Redford took the wallet back to Paul Newman. And it's funny because when they're in there and he's prepping, he's dumping like partially bottled gin in the sink. And like
he's also putting it on
his face, swishing with it, and
fills it up with water.
Robert Redford's like, "What are you doing?" And he goes, "You always drink gin because then the sucker doesn't know that you're cutting it."
Yeah,
and he just starts filling it with water. So he ends up coming into this poker game, and the reason that Jeff said what he said at the beginning was. He just like lunges into this room and says, "Sorry, I'm late. I was taking a crap."
Yeah, and he's playing a character where he is this really annoying drunk guy who is every bit as good as his money.
Yeah,
you know, like you can't really throw him out because he's loaded. You want his money. But do you really want to put up with the drunk asshole?
Right.
And Dad, I know you're listening. I know this is what you had to deal with when you used to play at the bars. So, yeah.
Oh, your dad doesn't play at the bars anymore?
Nah.
I gave it up, huh?
Yeah.
So it's really funny because during the entire time he keeps referring to Lonigan in the wrong name and it pisses Lonigan off.
Like Lanahan and Lanolin. Yeah. Yeah.
The whole point here is to, number one, get them to underestimate Paul Newman, but ultimately to make Lanigan or Lonigan, dang it, Robert Shaw, Doyle, Doyle Lonigan, to get him as angry as possible that he's going to get beat by this guy.
And then make him want revenge on him.
Right.
But also
because it's just chap his ass that he lost to this drunk ass.
There's one really, really important thing. There's one of the side characters is Kid. Oh, what was his name? Kid you've got the guy who is kind of a fixer.
Kid Twist.
Kid Twist. Yeah.
He says, I know how Lonigan plays. He cheats.
Yeah.
And he's really good at it.
And he knows how. He knows what types of decks he uses. And yeah.
These are the exact types of decks he uses.
Yeah.
He's really good at cheating. And he does it by cutting a different deck of cards than what was shuffled and then hiding the ones that were.
Yeah.
So, when he's in trouble, he has a fixer.
Yeah.
Who will put the new cards out that will be stacked in a specific way so that when he cuts it, he will get there will be exact cards handed out so that you know exactly what the other people are doing.
Right.
Yep.
And because he knows this, Paul Newman knows this, he brings his own deck.
Yeah.
And
he's also very good at sleight of hand.
And he knows based on the cards that he got dealt that the stacked deck was in play on Robert Shaw's side. So he switches his 4 threes out with 4 jacks.
Right.
To beat Robert Shaw's 4 9s.
Yeah.
Right, because his winning move is always 4 9s.
Yes.
And the loser will be strung along with 4 3s.
Which is so dumb if you're Robert Shaw. Like, you shouldn't always win with the same hand. Like, people are going to know. Which is
when you're a mob
which
guy
is
and
why
when you're Robert Shaw.
But that's why Kid Twist knew, because he's probably heard about enough stories of him at the table.
Oh, he got 9s,
4 3s with 4 9s. Yeah,
yep.
Exactly.
But you know what?
It's good stuff.
It's good stuff.
So
actually, it may not have actually been exactly 4 9s every time, because when Shaw gets really, really upset and goes back to the room and tells his guy to set him up with a deck, he says, "I want 9s."
Oh yeah, he said 3s and 9s.
3s and 9s. I think
3s and 9s.
He had another. He has 2 decks,
right,
that are both stacked in different ways. Yeah,
right.
Yeah. And I think that Kid Twist told Paul Newman about both decks
because he has a blue and a red deck.
Yeah,
yeah.
We did forget to mention that Robert O. Jones, the reason why the whole sting is in place is Robert O. Jones gets thrown out the window of his apartment because he's the one that got caught for the grift on the money guy.
And the money guy for Robert Shaw.
And Paul Newman is a friend of Luther's.
You're right.
And it already kind of had started to get him set up with him,
right,
because he knew he was retiring.
And when Robert Redford first shows up in Chicago to see Luther, he is drunk, face smashed into a wall, sleeping.
Yes. He's like, wait a minute, this is the guy who's supposed to teach me everything?
Yeah. I already know how to drink.
So, but Paul Newman, I already know how to
like,
drink.
hey, you going to stay for breakfast, or you already know how to eat?
And Paul Newman is the master of the big long con.
Yes.
Which is
the
not,
sting.
Which is not what Robert O. Jones was good at.
No, he was a pickpocket.
Yeah, he was just short con street hustles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Street hustle. He's married to a street hustler, even.
So that's why they want revenge. They want revenge to avenge Robert O. Jones.
Which is funny because that's not even really what Paul Newman wants. Paul Newman is just like, this seems like the right thing to do.
Yeah, he's like, sure.
I mean, that guy's a dick.
He knew Luther. He's like, it's a mark, and I'll teach the kid something. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it makes him.
And this guy seems like a bad dude, so yeah, seems like the right thing to do.
Yeah.
Anyway, continue on with the game, Ken. Sorry, we took some roads.
Oh, it's fine. Yeah, and the actual game doesn't come along for a little bit, but as far as how it got into the hook and for the sting. So once the 4 jacks come out and Lonigan realizes that he's been defeated, Paul Newman starts demanding his money, and of course Lonigan can't find his wallet.
Yep.
And so
which then leads to what you normally would do, which is say, "Oh, you can't pay? You'll never get another game in this city again. You're welching on a bet.
You better give me my money."
Yeah, exactly.
And so he tells him that he's going to send a boy or somebody to his train car, and he better have the money. Well, that person is Robert Redford, and he goes and admits that his wallet got stolen, and they start to talk about how Robert Redford wants to take over Paul Newman's operation, and that Paul Newman cheated him, and that they're playing him for a sucker. Yeah,
Robert Shaw. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it's and so then that sets up. Now you've got him on the hook.
Yeah,
because now it's like, oh no, he's not gonna
do that.
He's not gonna do that to me. Doesn't he know who I am?
And Robert Shaw has already been established as a guy who will not be grifted, because his reputation is very important to him.
He won't also appear weak either.
Right. There are lots of other sharks that he swims with that will eat him alive if they get one whiff of the fact that he would let any sort of not injustice, but any sort of
impropriety against
them. Stand right.
Yeah. It is because he points out to his guy, his fixer, that it's like, hey, see that guy over there playing golf with us, or playing on the other tee over there? I've known him since we were kids, like since we were 8 or something. And it's like, if he finds out that I've been stolen from by these street hustlers, then I'm going to have to kill him, everybody he knows, everybody they know. It's like he can't be shown as weak, or like the sharks will gather.
Yes. So what's the plan? Like, what is the actual sting they're going to try and pull off?
It's wire fraud.
Yeah. So this is interesting
because it's an old style way of grifting somebody.
Yeah. So this is interesting. This is very much a bygone. You couldn't pull this grift today.
No.
Well, they even mentioned the movie when they bring up the idea of doing The Wire. They're like, The Wire hasn't been done in 20 years. And
that's
like,
why.
That's why no one will know.
Yeah, exactly.
No one will see it coming.
Yeah.
So in order to do this, they have to set up a fake betting parlor.
Yeah.
Which is fantastic.
Yeah.
Because they have to go and they have to get basically a basement apartment space. And then Kid Twist comes in and it's like, all right, I need this. And he's got a guy who's doing all the figuring of what's going to cost to get these people to come in, build the bar, set them up with liquor, set them up with all this equipment, like chalkboards for the races and everything. And so he's like, oh, it's going to be X number of dollars. And Kid Twist is like, oh, that seems steep. And then also when the guy figures out who they're going to grift, he's like, nah, I want you to pay me a flat rate.
Yeah.
Which is to imply up front. Because they're going to die.
Yeah, he does not believe that this is going to happen.
Do you want percentage or flat rate? Who is it? Doyle Lonigan. Flat rate.
That's good stuff.
Yeah. And so...
can we talk too about the fact that there's the list? I love this idea.
Yeah, we'll get to that here in a minute.
Okay.
Yeah. Because so then that's also when like you've got Kid Twist, you've got Mr. Hand, and you've got all of these other people who are like figuring out what exactly needs to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And what equipment they need, what space they need, all of that. Then you also, so Kid Twist, pays the landlords like, all right, we're going to take this space. I also need a caddy corner. I need a corner room with a view. Okay. It's like, and I don't expect to ever see you again. And the landlord's like, never heard of this place. He got his money. He's gone. So they like overnight, they turn this place into like what looks like a legitimate establishment.
High class.
Yeah, high class.
Yes. This is a class joint.
It's a class joint.
Yeah. Get those thugs out of here.
Parlor.
Yes. Horse betting parlor.
But they also need more grifts.
Yes.
So Kid Twist goes to the dive bar where they all hang out. Okay, so I'm going to get geeky here for a second, right? Because they're both in DC and Marvel. They're always a villain bar.
Yeah.
Or the bar where all the magic people hang out or whatever, right? And it's like this gallery of no good nicks.
Yeah, it's the underground.
And it's like, this is where they all hang out. And the guy who runs that bar has a list of all the people who are in town
it's so great.
to help out.
It's so great.
This is networking in the 1930s.
and they had all their names written down, and they're all like in their like code names and stuff, and it's their aliases. Oh, it's so funny. I love it. And it's actually written down on a piece of paper, all their aliases.
It's like on a legal pad.
It's like you're gonna have the best pick of at least 30 men.
Yeah. And it's like because they need at least 20 or something like that. And so like it's like and then they have like the interviews.
They hold auditions.
Yeah, and so like the guy is like coming in, and it's like there's this little old guy from Baltimore who comes in, and he's an actor. Like he's got like a little patch beard. Like he puts on like a little fake beard and a little fake hair, and he always does everything in a British accent.
Yeah, his character is British. Yeah, that's well. Okay, we'll get you a suit. He's like, I have my own costume.
Yeah, and he picks up this gigantic suitcase of vagabond suits.
It's so great.
And then later when he's like putting on his fake beard and stuff, and the one guy that got slammed in the nose at the dive bar.
Oh yeah, that's the Erie kid, I believe.
Yeah.
He just hands him like something and says, "Put this on your nose," and like slides a mirror in front of him. It's like makeup.
Yeah.
That's so good.
Like the whole makeup kit.
Yeah, because you even get to see the people getting in the character and everything, and like getting dressed up, and and meanwhile, Paul Newman has to look like the guy who runs the joint.
Yeah,
which would legitimize him as being somebody who could have played that game, that poker game.
Right.
Also, legitimize. You can't pay your debt. And people will listen to him because he runs an establishment. But Ken, was it you that said that even the fake place had like the little horse trophies? Like they even brought in the horse trophies?
Like behind the bar up in the glass, there were just like horse trophies. There were horse pictures on the walls, like fern plants.
Oh, it looked legit. Yeah.
Yeah, it looked just as good as the winner circle.
They had all the seats stacked, in rows, facing the boards,
where somebody would come in,
where all the results would get chalked in.
Yep. And he's got his ears.
Paul Newman, Robert Redford, and like the quote unquote servers were all wearing tuxedos. And like, it was
and the cigarette girls, they had legitimate cigarette girls. Like they had stock. Like there was inventory at this place. No, it's one of those things where it's like it's such a movie thing, right? Like all of this came together essentially overnight. Everything works perfectly.
Yeah.
At least mostly. And it's so like tightly written. Like there's not really a huge plot hole here.
No.
I mean, and if there are, they're so small though, where it's like, well, who cares?
I mean, you could argue that Doyle Lonnegan didn't do his due diligence. That a guy that connected would ask around,
right,
and would get the skitty on this new.
But he is also on tilt.
Well, yes, that is exactly right. That's how you can explain it. This is a guy who is blinded by revenge. Yeah, and he thinks he's got the upper hand because of Robert Redford is playing in his court, right? His nemesis is right hand man, and
he never apparently realizes that he's the one that took money from him in the first
place,
right?
Yeah,
I mean, he's just been grifted 3 different ways.
Well, and the thing is that what's funny is that there is also a certain ballsiness to the Robert Redford character too, where he's almost on tilt because multiple times he knows Lonnegan has put a hit on him.
Yeah,
he knows multiple times. He didn't count on the last one.
Yeah, Lonnegan is looking for him,
right?
And he's playing a different person as himself who's grifting him back.
Yes.
It is extremely ballsy.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's like at any point in time, if there's any intersection of figuring out that Kelly is the same guy as Hooker.
Right.
And it's like he is skating on thin ice.
Yeah.
And the only thing he didn't know was the last hit person that was sent after him. Yeah. And luckily Paul Newman's character knows what the hell he's doing and has been sending somebody to protect him.
Right, because Celino is
you think it's a guy. You think it's some guy who's, the hitman.
I think she might be the Celino family. Is there somebody who is ahead of Lonnegan?
I don't know, but they just said that her name is Salino. She's a professional.
Okay,
like,
she was hired by Lonigan.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Well,
And that he put her into that diner that
Right.
Redford went to.
yeah, and if you go back earlier, like after Lonigan gets to New York, he even mentions Salino in the office.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. You got to send Salino out there. And so you think that's going to be some greasy guy,
Right.
not to be too insensitive, but some greasy wop. I'm just getting in 1936 mode here.
Well, yeah, you'd think it'd be someone who looks like one of Lonigan's
Goons.
goons.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Charles Deercop plays the one goon. I mean, that he is like the flat nosed.
Well, he's got like a shelf nose. Like his nose comes out.
It's
like you could rest a fuking portrait on that thing.
You said it perfectly when you said he looks like a Dick Tracy character.
He does.
He really does. Yeah.
Tracy, we got to go get shelf nose. Hey, see? Big boy Caprice has sent him out after you. I really want to watch Dick Tracy again sometime.
So the idea then is to get Lonigan to bet a bunch of money on a horse at this fake off-track betting joint at this race. I mean, that is the gist of it. So they've got to convince him that this is a legit operation and that the insider information that they have is also legit. So they set up a series of smaller bets. The first one is Robert Redford's own money.
Yes.
That he hands to Lonigan and says, $2,000 is all I can get together. But, to prove to you this is real, you're going to get a phone call in this diner with the horse to bet on. You walk across the street, bet this money on
exactly
on the horse,
this money on exactly this horse.
And get the money and get the payout. And then, he even, I think, told him to keep the winnings.
Yeah, just keep the winnings.
Just keep the winnings. This is good faith.
Yeah.
Right? So he does, and he wins the horse. He's like, oh shit, this might actually, be legit. But he's still not convinced.
So he's like, I want another one.
Yeah.
And that's when they have to do the shutout.
Yes.
Because and the way that they do that is actually pretty brilliant. They just tell Ray Walston to just go ahead and start calling the race. Just as he's getting up to the window, so he can't make the bet.
Yeah.
But the horse wins.
Yeah.
So then he's like, all right, I'll bankroll the whole operation.
Yeah.
Here's $500,000. And all the while, also, we're led to believe that the FBI is hot
on their tail.
Hot on the tail of Paul Newman.
Yes.
Which is partly why he's living and just kind of doing handiwork for Eileen Brennan, who runs a brothel. Brothel with a carousel.
And a carousel for children.
There's a beautiful scene.
The same building.
There's a beautiful scene in which, late in the movie, Eileen Brennan comes into the room and asks Paul Newman, it's like, hey, can I get the key to turn on the carousel, whatever she called it. The girls are kind of bored. It's a slow night. And so and he's like, yeah, sure, whatever. And then you see Robert Redford's leaving for the night, and he and on the carousel is just a carousel of hookers having the time of their life.
Yep, just
That's
going
so beautiful,
bouncing up and down on their poles
and waving and trying to get Robert Redford to come over. It's like, this is heaven.
Yes, it is a little slice of heaven.
Yeah.
Yes.
Those girls just want to please a guy,
and they're having fun. They're slow night
fun.
On the carousel.
Yeah. George Roy Hill, you just directed the most perfect scene ever.
Good job, sir. Good job.
Good job.
Okay, so that brings us to the last chapter.
The Sting.
The Sting.
Yeah.
So we've got the cops, the FBI, who are hot on Paul Newman's trail. They want Charles Durning to bring Robert Redford in because they can get to Paul Newman through Robert Redford.
Yes.
So that happens. Charles Durning, he thinks he's working for the FBI. He brings Robert Redford in. The FBI have a conversation with him in front of Charles Durning. Like, you got to tell us where this is going down, or else we're going to go after you. We're going to go after
Alva.
Robert Earl Jones's,
Alva.
Is his sister or mother?
Wife.
Oh, wife. Yeah, okay.
Wife. Which will basically destitute their two kids, the teenage daughter and the small boy, who just wanted to listen to, what was the radio station?
Oh, yeah. It was,
damn it. Anyway, it was.
I don't remember right, but there was.
Oh, Machine Gun Kelly.
Yes.
Machine Gun Kelly.
Yeah, Machine Gun Kelly.
Also, that scene right at the beginning when Robert Redford comes in and she's like, "Oh, we gotta get ready for church." And he's like, "What are you doing going to church at night?" "Oh, they got bingo now, and I'm gonna take that money while the Lord's paying."
Yeah, and then
while the Lord's paying.
Yeah, and then the daughter's like, it's like, "Oh, you're going too?" And it's like, "Yeah, I got to go pray."
Got time to pray.
Yep.
Sorry, that was just.
That's
that's a great line.
Love that line.
Yeah. So get it while getting's good. Yeah.
So the agreement is for when the sting is about to go off, when it's concluded. This is very important to Robert Redford, that they get Lonigan, get his money, and then the FBI can come in and arrest Paul Newman. So that's basically what happens. Like the whole thing goes down just as planned. Nothing goes off kilter other than the assassin.
Okay, well so Robert Redford had met this girl at a Lonnie, I think was her name. Lonnie or Lottie? Well, yeah, Lonnie, I think.
Loretta.
Oh, Loretta. I was wrong on both of them.
Loretta Salino.
You got some of the letters.
Yeah, I got most of it. It started with an L,
played by
goddammit.
Demetra Arliss.
Yeah, so she's seemingly this kind of down on her luck. She's got to work the graveyard shift at the diner. She talked at one point about trying to save up money to get on a train to leave. And so Robert Redford kind of takes a liking to her. And so he wants to ask her out. She kind of turns him down. He eventually does, find out where she lives, and then they kind of do the thing.
She was in Xanadu.
Fantastic.
She was Helen in Xanadu.
Fantastic. Well, yeah, of course she was.
Of course she was.
Because the good people in good movies go to make other good movies. Anyway, so sometimes, most of the time in the case of Xanadu. Anyway,
no comment over here. No comment.
Well, Michael Beck went from the Warriors to Xanadu.
That's true. Olivia Newton-John went from
Greece to Xanadu.
Yeah.
Some would say that's a step up. As in this guy.
They're both rough watches for me.
Anyway, so the next morning she's gone. It's like, what's going on? And he sees her coming down this alleyway. He's like, oh, yay, there's Lorraine, whatever her name was, Loretta. And he's like, oh, yay, there's been this guy who follows Robert Redford, pulls out a gun, shoots her, and it's revealed that she had a gun.
Yes.
She was the assassin.
Yes.
Out to kill Hooker, not Kelly, but Hooker.
Yes.
It's important to remember that because sometimes it's hard to forget, or it's hard to remember. It's like, wait a minute, why does he keep coming? Because he thinks he doesn't know what Hooker looks like. He only knows what Kelly looks like.
Yeah.
So they're not the same.
Correct.
Anyway.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is what makes it so cool. Like,
right.
Every scene he's in with Lonigan, it kind of crackles a little bit because Lonigan has no clue. This is the guy.
But he's
got a hit out on.
He knows that he's trying to kill him.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, anyway.
Yeah.
So then that brings us back to the final stages, which is, you got to go and you got to have this fake horse race. Lonigan is told to put $500,000 on a particular horse, which at first Paul Newman's like, no, we can't take this 4-1. We're broke. We can't take that bet.
Yeah.
And then I don't remember exactly what, but it's like whatever.
Not only are you a cheater, but you're a gutless cheater.
Yeah, and he's like, then take it all. Take it from him. So and then the race starts. And what happens, Ken?
So, we didn't talk about the telegraph office, but...
Oh, yeah, because Kid Twist is kind of playing a role himself as the inside man.
Mm-hmm. So Kid Twist sits down next to Lonigan, and he's like, is everything okay? And Lonigan's like, yep, I got all of it in on this horse to win. And he goes, to win? I told you on the phone, place it. He's going to come in second. And Lonigan freaks out and tries to go back and get his money.
Yeah.
And right then...
Here comes the FBI.
Yep. So the jig is up. Or is it, Jason?
Well, there's a big shootout. So...
Not a big shootout.
Not a big shootout, but there's a shootout. So the FBI agent comes up to Paul Newman at the bar, said, I finally got you in the act. You're coming with me. And
he says it exactly like
he looks,
best picture of 1973.
You're coming with me. And he looks at Robert Redford and says, you can go. And then
the jig is up. They
looks
know.
Like, oh shit, I've been double crossed.
You've been crossing me up.
You've been crossing me. And so on his way out the door, Paul Newman pulls a gun and shoots Robert Redford
in the back.
Yeah, and then the FBI agent pulls a gun and shoots Robert Redford in the chest, all while Lonigan witnesses the whole thing.
He shot Paul Newman.
Yes, yeah. Paul Newman. Yes.
Did he also shoot Henry Ford? Or was he the guy who was he the
Stop it. Just stop it. It's already confusing.
Well, you could have said Robert Ford.
I could have. The Robert assassination. Yeah. Of Jesse James. Oh, Jesus.
By the coward.
The coward Robert Ford.
Yeah.
Didn't Robert Redford play Jesse James in a movie?
I don't know, but they played Butch Cassidy.
His son Brad Pitt did.
And every time I think of Robert Ford, I think of Elton John. So, wow, we are way off track now.
Anyway, it has appeared at this point that Paul Newman and Robert Redford have both been killed by each other and the FBI agent. So they, and then Charles Durning is also in the joint, and he's not in on any of this.
Yeah, he's like, I gotta get Lonigan out of here,
right?
Because he doesn't want to be there because he will be taken off.
Yeah, before they actually leave the warehouse to go there, the FBI main guy tells Charles Durning, like, it's this big shot from New York. Once you see him and it starts, get him out of there because he can't be there.
Yeah,
right.
So it's perfect. They've taken, $500,000. And and from what Lonigan knows, these two guys are dead.
Yeah,
they've been shot and killed.
And he's got to write off that $500,000.
Yeah.
It's gone.
He has no choice because the FBI is involved. He's got to just skedaddle.
Yeah, that is going to be impounded.
Yes,
but
guess what?
It's all part of the prestige.
It is the FBI. The FBI was in on the sting, or the supposed FBI. They weren't actually the FBI.
Right. They were just
they're posing as
buddies
FBI
agents.
in barbershop hats.
Yes, they are wearing barbershop hats.
So weird.
Somebody write in and say whether or not FBI's part of their actual
uniform
costume was
in the 30s.
Yeah,
was a barbershop hat.
Like the straw.
They were the straw short brimmed hats. Yeah.
Right. So
about that one
with the ribbon.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. But that's what happened.
We'll read your rights.
And then, of course, you see, Robert Redford and Paul Newman get up off the floor, wipe the blood from their face, and everything. We did it.
And they give each other a freeze frame high five. Movie over.
Son of a bitch.
Best picture of 1973. No, they get up and Redford wants to just leave. He's on to his next adventure. He got his revenge. And he's on to his next...
Paul Newman asks you, we're going to stick around for your cut? He's like, I'd just blow it anyway.
Which is insanity because it's going to be a gigantic cut.
It's going to be nice.
And they just leave. They just leave.
Yeah. We figured out, we did the math. It was a $500,000 take.
Which in today's money is
$9 million.
Roughly $9 million, yes.
It was about, for every 1,000...
It was like $18,000.
$18,000 in today's money.
Yeah.
Yeah. So $9 million. That's pretty nice.
It's pretty good.
Get what was it? Beef stew for 25 cents? Or
You can get a lot of fucking beef stew.
that diner was cheap.
Yeah, you can
And that
go-
wasn't even the what was it? The blue plate special.
No,
That
the blue plate
Blue
special was probably
a
like
dime or something.
it was probably like 12 and a half cents
Well, at one point he said
back in the
he
half
walked
penny
up and
days.
he's like, meatloaf, a slice of pie, and a cup of coffee. And she's like, 95 cents.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
damn.
Damn.
Here's $2.
You saw that plate of meatloaf. It had sides and stuff too. It wasn't just like a single.
Right.
Oh yeah.
No,
it was
it-
a serious meal.
Yeah.
People are
Yeah,
eating
95
good.
cents.
95 cents.
Yeah.
Eat good in the neighborhood.
And he got a piece of apple pie.
And a piece of apple pie.
And a coffee.
another piece of apple pie later.
Oh,
Who almost tried to kill him. Yeah.
that's a killer apple pie.
Killer apple pie.
Yeah, so this movie was okay.
It's
just okay.
I'll give it
Yeah.
2.5.
I don't know why I suggested it.
Yeah, I give it 2.5 stars
Yeah.
out of 2.
Two
Oh,
2 9s out of 4.
I give this movie $9 million. But in $500,000 1936 money.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, this movie is great. It is absolute classic.
It's timeless.
and it holds it will always be watchable forever.
Yes.
It is timeless.
I mean,
You're absolutely right.
yeah, it is perfectly of its time and also timeless too.
And it's with one pasty scene, it's pretty family friendly.
There's a little language at the beginning.
Yeah, there's a little
with-
language.
with Robert Earl Jones, and
Yeah.
but that's
But by today's standards, yeah.
well, I mean, again,
I mean,
look at it through the view of the time that the movie
Yeah.
takes place in too.
Sure. Well, yes, I know. I'm now picking up what you mean by language. Yeah. Yeah.
But also, all of the operations, even though it ultimately is a bunch of white dudes, I think it's like the guy who comes in with this pad of paper taking down the orders for what they need. That's a black fella. I mean, obviously, Robert Earl Jones was practically
His father figure. That was pretty refreshing, honestly.
Yeah.
To see that from the jump, to have a pretty popular character like Robert Redford in sort of the civil rights era.
Yeah.
Be that chummy and friendly with a black family in 1936.
well, it's why he becomes president in the Watchmen universe.
Right. Yeah.
No, he and also, I mean, but like if you really think about it, because it would be really easy for somebody to say, "Oh, it's the politics of the movie or whatever." It's like, yeah, but also, if you're basically a street urchin, all of that kind of doesn't take into consideration race anymore.
No, you're
All struggling for the same
Right.
thing, especially during the Depression.
absolutely,
So
absolutely.
probably the very earliest times of some racial coalescence would have probably come from the Depression because everybody's fucked.
Yeah.
So it's not just messing with one.
Yeah. The color of your skin doesn't really matter so much when you're all starving.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And so when you're all in on the grift, you're all part of a different community. You're not. Yeah. So yeah. I mean, it is. And I'm sure if the internet existed back then, it would have been complaints, but probably would have ruined that movie completely. But seeing how it wasn't, I don't know where I'm going with this. You know where I'm going with this.
I still
standpoint, it would have completely ruined it. They would have had to have come up with a completely different con.
Oh my God! Imagine if somebody made the Sting 2020. So what would be? I mean, it would just be stealing, like it'd be like identity theft, right? That would be it. Like it would be 5 minutes of I hacked his account, I got it.
got it.
Do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do.
Yeah, it's kind of it kind of really would be. It'd be all computer. It'd be all computer hacking.
Guest on his bank account.
Yeah.
I've got in.
It'd be all.
It's all mine now.
Yeah, password 1 is his password. We got it.
Or if they did it like 1998, it would just be a Nigerian email scam.
Yeah, it's just them waiting around to see if he answers the email.
Oh my God, he's sending us money. Western Union.
Monaghan replies, "Tell me more about this prince."
Movie's
Credits
over.
roll.
Yeah. Best picture of 1998. Fuck you, Shakespeare in Love.
Oh shit.
Somebody make us write that movie. Make us write that movie. Somebody hire us to make that movie.
You could just do a kind of a funny little parody of just little small different vignettes of stings through the decades, you know, and each one would end with da 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 da, and the little like circle fade.
Yeah. Circle swipe. We're done.
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Ken. Thank you for joining us for the Sting. That was very, very fun.
Thanks for having me.
It was
I think
nice.
This is my 5th time.
I think so. Yeah.
I don't know. Whatever it is, I stole your wallet.
You're supposed to tell him. You're shitty at this.
While I was late taking a crap.
Yeah.
That's what he was doing. He wasn't taking a crap. He was going through your coat.
Yeah, thank you. It's been a fun. It was a fun movie to watch. 2 good back-to-back
Yeah.
movies.
Very fun.
2 very different, while still pretty similar movies.
Yep.
Where you have one where it's very straightforward and simple, and then you got this one that is
A lot of layers.
A lot of layers.
A lot of complexity to the con.
It's a bloomin' onion.
Yep. It's
of
a
a movie.
it's short con and a long con.
Yep.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, it's really have you guys ever seen the movie Confidence?
Yes.
Mhm.
With William H. Macy.
It's very similar to that too. That there's just a lot going on. Unless you're like really paying attention, you don't know what the outcome is going to be.
Was that Ed Burns was
Ed
also in that,
Burns.
right? Yeah.
Yes, he was.
Yeah.
Reese and,
Yeah.
I missed that guy.
That's a good movie. That was actually directed by the guy who directed Glenn Ross.
Oh.
Oh, really?
Yep.
So it has some
like that movie,
David Mamet ties too. David Mamet has written some very good grifter movies.
You know what I would do in the Sting 2020?
James Foley.
James Foley, yeah, he did. He directed Glenn Ross.
I would
Yes, he did.
for the Sting 2020. I would definitely have more fart jokes.
Well, there was at least one good shit joke.
Good shit joke.
Yeah.
And a burp. Also,
And a
in
burp.
that same
Yeah,
scene.
yeah. So yeah, the lowbrow was there.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
Yeah, that's pretty
Yeah.
good. But I would really up that ante.
I hear you.
Yeah.
Yep.
Freeze frame on me, you know.
Oh my.
All right. So this brings to a close this episode.
Yes, it does.
We grifted you for going on an hour and 10 minutes.
We
now.
grifted all 5 of you to listening to us.
We win.
Gotcha.
That's what you get for killing James Earl Jones' dad.
And now you know how the Sting ends. Boom.
Yep.
And
Does
Rosebud.
it end that way?
Do.
Oh, fantastic.
Well, Jeff, where can people see and hear our episodes?
FilmSeizure.com.
Yes, they can. What do we release on Fridays? Or do you release on Fridays?
Well, okay, wait a minute. Back up.
No, we're going to do it my way.
Okay. B-Movie Enema.
Yeah.
That's bmovieenema.com. Go over there, check it out. It's good readings for the toilet.
What comes out on Mondays?
Monster Mondays. Now,
Yes.
that you can't really do on the toilet or people are going to look at your stall weird.
You could do it, though. You
At home.
could watch it on your phone.
Well,
Earbuds.
yeah,
Earbuds.
but then you drop those in the toilets.
All I'm not saying it's sanitary, but you can do it. And then Saturdays, you've been rocking for a few weeks now. With this.
So 00 Saturdays. Every other week, I write a review for a James Bond movie. And the in-between weeks is the music of James Bond.
Yes, indeed.
I feel like we don't talk about music nearly enough on this Except for this week, I guess I should have held on to that opinion.
Well, we couldn't last week because that movie only had 2 songs.
That's true. That's true.
That's very true. And one of the 2 songs was played twice.
Yeah, in like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
But the music of the Bond movies are very, very important. And for at least 11 of almost half of the movies, they're super important to me because it's my favorite conductor. So I wanted to talk about them.
Cool.
And also, I also make sure to talk about the opening credit sequences because those are fucking rad.
Yes, they are.
Anyway, I'm glad they kept up that tradition into the modern era. Yeah, so that's, and then what happens on Wednesdays?
Wednesdays are when you can actually hear new episodes of Film Seizure.
Fucking shit, man.
Fucking A, man.
Hey, and before too long, if we haven't already, I doubt we've done it already because you're probably holding off. I've already closed the gate on 2019, but we'll be doing our 2019 in review before too long.
Yes.
Maybe before the Oscars on February 9th, maybe not. Depends.
February 9th is Oscars, huh?
Yeah. So maybe before then, maybe not.
We shall see.
Yeah, we'll see. But that's coming soon, so be on the lookout for that.
Yes, indeed.
Ken, will you be on the lookout for that?
I'll be on the lookout for whatever you tell me to be.
All right, be on the lookout for all that shit we just rattled off there. You need notes?
Unless I'm out, cheating people in cards and grifting. So.
Yeah.
Well, you can still listen to the podcast while you do that.
Possibly, yeah.
The hitman grifter who listens to the Film Seizure podcasts while he's doing his job.
Yep.
Like it.
Yeah, that's kind of cool. Anyway, yeah. So Ken, thank you for coming back. We will bring you back for, what was it? We said something. Oh, Slapshot.
Slapshot for sure.
Absolutely, Slapshot.
And I think we've got a thing established now where if we're doing a con movie, I think we should bring you on. And there are some
only con movies though. Forever. Especially if it's movies like a few weeks ago with Street Fighter where we're conning you, where specifically I'm conning all of you.
But I have a couple of mine that I think will be fun, that are a little outside the box.
Cool.
Or just join us whenever you want, man.
Yeah, true.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah, sweet. There we go.
Bitchin'.
You son of a bitch. I'm in. All right. So, Ken, again, thank you. And we look forward to having you on again.
Ditto.
Sweet. I am Jeff Arbuckle.
I am Jason Oliver, and do 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 do.
They're just gonna hear that over another time.
Fade it out. Fade it out.
You're not gonna do your thing?
And you've been listening to Film Seizure.
All of that staying in.